Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. The National Planning Commission is on a consultative roadshow this month ahead of the drafting of its final report in November. Terence Creamer joins me to discuss what is emerging. Terence, welcome to Second Take. A few weeks ago, the National Planning Commission put out a diagnostics report. What were the main themes?
Yes, the National Planning Commission was set up a year ago by President Jacob Zuma, and it's headed by Trevor Manuel, who's the minister in the presidency responsible for the National Planning Commission. And during this last year, since November, they've been setting up a process of drafting their first report. And in that process, they put out a diagnostics report in June, which raises a number of challenges, most of which we know about in South Africa, but has put a lot of research and a lot of intellectual muscle to these problems and to highlighting them. And basically 9 challenges were raised in that diagnostic overview. Two of those themes were highlighted as very important themes for South Africa to deal with. The fact that South Africa's access to education has increased, but the quality of education is still dismally low, particularly issues of maths and science, but generally also quite racially divided. So you'll find the previous white schools doing quite well, but African schools still right in the bottom rung. In fact, I think only 1 or 2% of African schools considered schools of excellence, most of them really not providing good quality education. And the other big issue that was raised was the fact that too few people in South Africa work. Now, these are not new surprises to anyone, but I think that what is new is that they're trying to put some new thinking about how we go about addressing these challenges. And the other challenges that were raised, the other 7, these range from social fragmentation, the issues of crime and violence in South Africa, the very poor delivery and uneven delivery of state institutions, whether it's healthcare or education, right through to the delivery of infrastructure. Also, this whole issue of infrastructure being such an underinvestment over so many years in infrastructure and the backlog that is developed. So many issues are raised: our carbon intensity as an economy, our resource intensity. In fact, our water intensity, despite us being the 30th driest country in the world, being a fairly water-intensive country. So you can see nothing startlingly new, but I think a new sort of approach to maybe raising them in a fairly unbiased way and unvarnished way, and a new approach to trying to think about how to deal with them.
How's the Commission going about the process of drafting the final report?
Yeah, that's quite an interesting development, is that they are going through a listening phase. So we had this diagnostics report, as I mentioned. Now they're going through a sort of provincial roadshows, really, where the commissioners, there's 26 commissioners in all. These are different experts and leading South Africans in their field. As I said, Trevor Manuel is the chairman of this commission, but the deputy chairperson is Cyril Ramaphosa, and there's a whole lot of other people that form part of this commission. Fairly, high-profile individuals who have done various things over the years, whether it's in business or in different spheres of society. So these commissioners are on these road shows, and these started in the last week, and they're going around and trying to listen to people's concerns, to sort of firm up their diagnosis of the challenges, as well as to hear, if possible, whether there are new solutions that could arise. And this week, the deputy chairperson, Cyril Ramaphosa, raised that he tried to draw a parallel between the process that they're going through now in consulting around this document, eventual report, and the constitution-making process, which was a very successful process back in the mid-1990s, which actually drew on a lot of the thoughts of South Africans. In the end, I think the constitution included something like 2 million submissions. So they're trying to do a bit of a repeat here and to try to get people to apply their mind and to also come behind a common goal.
What does the NPC hope to achieve through this process, and do you think it has any chance of succeeding?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, but especially on the success side. But I think the idea is to try and come up with a plan for 2030. So we're trying to look longer term People are saying, is that long term enough? But I think, you have to put some sort of time frame to these things, a time-defined horizon. I think this whole process of trying to get sort of ideas from the bottom, not people that are necessarily party political or not from the governing party, I think that is trying to create a new platform for social consensus. I think that's really what the National Planning Commission is doing. As I said, the problems being raised are not startling, and I'm sure that the solutions that are going to be proposed in the end won't be jaw-dropping in any way. I think the solutions, we already are quite an ideas-rich society. There are quite a lot of ideas. The issue is trying to get society behind this, and I think that's one of the problems since 1994. And we've only really had a few instances where we've really been able to galvanize the country behind the implementation of projects. So we had the successful elections in 1994, and those have been built on in successive elections. We had the World Cup last year, but I think it's trying to build that again, build a common purpose again in South African society, a new platform for social dialogue, and not just the sort of that the power within the ruling or governing party has the final say, allowing new voices to enter that debate, new possible policy proposals. Now, your second part of the question is whether this will have any impact. Now, it's very early to say. I mean, this initially has been written off by many commentators, this whole process, but I think there's now a sort of more of a listening to this process and more openness to this process. And people are actually hoping it will work, because I think they're looking at the alternatives that are happening within the governing party and saying, well, there's not much room for debate there. In fact, the policy proposals there seem to be more about succession than really about trying to get the country moving towards a common goal. So maybe this provides something of an alternative, a beachhead to engage on these issues in a different way. And that's why I think people are a bit more open to the process. But it's going to be difficult. This is an independent body, an advisory body. In fact, there's only 3 members from the governing party in this National Planning Commission. The rest are drawn from society more generally, which is a good thing. So they can behave without fear or favour, and they can raise their solutions and their problems as they see fit. But whether that can be translated into whether the good ideas can be translated into good policy, it's too early to say. And it does look like there could be, clashes of ideology and clashes with existing policy. And it's going to be interesting to see whether this can be woven into that tapestry. Really, we've got things like the New Growth Path, which take us to 2020 and possibly beyond. So whether we can weave some of these ideas into that is going to be interesting. But I think, as with everything in South Africa, it's probably worth a try, given that we're having this fracturing of society, this breakdown of people's trust in the political process. I think that it's probably a positive development.
Terence, thank you very much. That is the Second Take show for this week. Thank you for watching, and join us again next time for more news analysis.